Okay, everyone, welcome to another episode of Afternoon Tea with Helen. And as always, I have exciting guests that have got wonderful things to share. And today I have Stephanie Goldberg Glazer. And she is one of my favorite people because she books all my vacations for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to find out what's going on in the vacation industry right now and what's happening in the future, and find out a little bit more about Stephanie. So Stephanie, who are you? What do you do? What is it that you're going to talk to me about?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. Any excuse for tea is a good one. And
Absolutely.
especially with
I have
you.
my tea here, in my English cup.
Much nicer cup than I do.
Mm-hmm.
I am the owner of Live Well, Travel Often. We're a full service luxury travel agency. So we send our clients all over the world on vacations that are customized to their needs, whether it's a cruise or a land trip or rail, whatever it is, we customize it.
So what about cruising right now? Okay, I know this is going on social media and will be evergreen, but however, we are talking about the cruising through this virus in 2020. And right now there are no cruises going anywhere. So what would you suggest to people that, they're starting cruising in the next few weeks? Is it safe?
So there are a couple of things. Like, first of all of the cruise lines have not yet come out with their end date for this pause. So they will, at some point, they're all going to say, okay, well, we're going to start this day, we're going to start that day. Seaboard actually just came out and said we've canceled all of our seasons. So we've canceled Europe, we've canceled Alaska. We're starting again October, November of 2020. One thing about cruising in general, which is now during a virus or beyond, or historically, they're very, very safe. Cruise lines in general, when cruise ships are built, the cruise lines actually work with the CDC to build in health protocols and cleanliness protocols. So those ships are super, super, super clean. And did you know, occasionally you hear about a virus or a norovirus or something going on a cruise ship, right?
Absolutely.
You hear about it, you're like, ah! But the truth of the matter is, the reason that you hear about it, and do you ever wonder why you hear about it on cruise ships, but you don't hear about it on hotels and you don't hear about it on planes?
I do wonder about that, yes.
Because they're not required to report it. Only cruise ships are required to report it.
Really? So if you catch something on a plane or a hotel or something like that, they're not required to report it?
No, and they have no way of tracking it.
Interesting. Very interesting. So what do you think they're doing differently now with this virus, or are they doing anything differently moving forward?
Well, it's a little bit soon to say, but I'm going to say yes, for sure. There's going to be more sanitizing, more hand washing, likely more distancing, fewer people in certain areas. Maybe, I don't know what all the protocols are because they're not officially out yet. And they'll be out in the next few weeks to a month, just as the cruise ships get a handle on how they're handling things.
So apart from cruising, what about, a lot of people do Airbnb. It's never been one of my favorite things to do anyway, but as she chokes there, Airbnb, how would you work with that, with the new sanitization and all that sort of thing? I mean, and personally, I've never done an Airbnb. It's never been something I've thought about doing. So for others that haven't done Airbnb, what is an Airbnb anyway?
Okay, so my stance on Airbnb actually hasn't changed. I'm saying to you exactly the same thing that I would have said to you 6 months ago, which is Airbnbs are generally owned either by an individual person or corporation or whatever, and they rent out these houses or apartments in cities. You don't know what the cleaning standards are because there aren't any. So were the towels washed in hot water? I don't know. Was the floor cleaned? Were the sheets, how often are the sheets changed? There's also safety concerns, right? You don't necessarily know what kind of neighborhood you're in. You don't know what kind of locks are on the doors. At least with hotels, you have standards. They have housekeeping standards. And if there's a problem, we go back to the hotel and have a conversation about it. So then you can't really have that with individual owners.
So do they not have to comply with short-term rental requirements?
Every city is different with the rental requirements, but the rental requirements are really on how frequently you can rent out a place, not on how clean it is.
Oh, I see. So my thing about, them not being disinfected to the standards they would need to protect us moving forward is valid.
I think so. I mean,
yeah, it's not something I ever wanted to do, but
Right. Me either. I mean, when I go on vacation, I certainly don't want to cook and clean for myself. I want
me neither.
housekeeping, and I want someone to bring me things.
Right. But there are people that have done, I know people that travel and they do travel the world on Airbnb, and they have no challenges whatsoever, and they get beautiful places. But I'm not condemning it. However, I was thinking about the cleanliness and what rules they have to abide by, but you're saying they don't have any.
Well, I'm sure Airbnb has some standards. They're just not enforceable. Right. So also a lot of people do Airbnb because they think it's cheaper. Right. That's a big thing. And by the time you factor in the cleaning fees and whatever other fees they have, because there are several, and it's not just Airbnb, there are other home rental companies that do this. You can usually find a city center hotel for the same or less than your Airbnb.
Right. Now, the other thing is, a lot of people, because they do the thing and they see the ads on TV, through Expedia and all this sort of thing, and you can do this and you can compare and all that sort of stuff. Why? I know the answer to this because I love you, but why would I choose a travel agent? Why do I need one?
Oh, there are so many reasons. So number one is I am obsessed with travel, right? This is what I do all day, every day, 7 days a week for most of the year. So I actually know what I'm doing. I know more about more places. I know about places. I know about suppliers. I know which companies are the best to use for certain things. I know how to get you into secret rooms at the Vatican. I know how to get you a private cooking class pretty much all over the world. A mosaic making class in Rome for your kids, super fun. Those aren't things that you know that you can do or that are readily available. So I have contacts all over the world with vetted suppliers that we can just create these wonderful itineraries that are different from what you're going to get online in a package. And everything that we do is customized. So if you really, really like food tours and you're going to 6 cities, we could do 6 cities of food tours. If you really don't care about food, I don't understand those people, but I think there are some, then we do other things, right? Museum, whatever it is that you like, we customize the trip to you. Right. And it doesn't actually cost more. The other thing is we save you money, right? I have relationships through my partnership with Virtuoso. I have relationships that will get you added amenities at 1,500 hotels across the world. Plus my relationships go further than that. We can get things done that maybe other people can't get done.
So you've been doing this for a week or so?
Yeah, roughly. Yes. About 15 years.
Right. Okay. And but that's the reason that I never thought I needed a travel agent either. And I would do my own thing. But what I found was the time it takes. Yes, okay, you can click a button and it's got all the things coming up and it shows you all the different things. And then when you go in to book it, you've got to do all this other stuff. And at the end, it comes out a different price to the price that you picked. And you've spent all this time doing this, and then you get thrown out of the thing. And it's just the research and the finding things and finding the tours and should I do this? And is it worth it? What part of town is it in? You know, like when we went to Paris, it's like, what part of town is it? Where is this going? And I find from a time factor, having you is so much easier because I don't have to spend the time doing it. So that for me is excellent. But also, like you said, you get a better travel experience because you know upfront what is going on. Okay? Exactly. Because, I mean, I've traveled, being British, I've traveled a lot over Europe, so I know different parts of Europe. But if I wanted to go to, and I've been to Australia as well, but say I wanted to go somewhere I haven't been already,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay. Which would be somewhere in the States. So say I wanted to
Okay.
go, which I do want to do. I want to go to Sedona, right? Okay.
Okay.
So if I wanted to go to Sedona, it's like, okay, what hotel? Is it in the middle of the desert? Am I by myself? Do I have to walk somewhere? Is it safe? Am I in a
Mm-hmm.
safe area? That's
Mm-hmm.
too much for me to do. I can't, you know?
It's too much. And also, especially when you're booking and you go online, you're click, 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 click. And like you said, the price changes by the time you're
Yeah.
done. Do you actually know that you've gotten what you really want? Especially with cruises and hotels, there's so many different choices of room categories.
Right.
Different views. When I work with a client, I get to know what they like and what's important to them, right? I have some clients that it's very important that they have the best possible room in the hotel, and I have other clients that don't really care because they're not spending any time there. So it doesn't
Right.
matter if they're staying in a 5-star hotel with martini making classes, because they're not going to spend any time in their hotel and they'd rather be doing other things. And we
Right.
get them the trip that they need.
Right. What made you get into the industry?
Well, it was sort of dumb luck, and I was sort of born into it. When I was a little kid, my grandfather owned a couple of hotels on South Beach, which is, then it was called Miami Beach. Now it's South Beach, but it was Miami Beach. He owned some small hotels, and snowbirds would come down and spend the winter, and they would have activities like what you saw in the 70s, right? Bingo night and all sorts of things. And so I would
Right.
go to the hotel with him and I would call bingo numbers, and everybody liked the 3-year-old pulling bingo numbers. And at some point I was like 5 years old and I learned how to operate the switchboard. This is when I learned red to red, black to black. Important life lesson.
It is.
So I really was born into it, and I've done a number of other things, but I always really love to travel. I love going new places, meeting new people. You get a little bit outside your comfort zone and you grow as a person. And I think that's important, and we all need to do that a little bit more.
So have you had any experiences that caused you to think to yourself, well, this is not somewhere I'm going to recommend?
Mm-hmm.
Over the years, I'm sure you have. But you put that into your box of toolkit, whereby if someone says, I want to go to, somewhere that's a remote place, you can
Mm-hmm.
turn around and go, well, yeah, it's remote, but however,
Here
you
are the
need to know.
drawbacks, and here,
Right.
exactly. But I'll tell you that it happens with everything. I mean, I personally stayed in a hotel in Portugal about a year and a half ago, and it was fantastic. We had a great time. I liked the location. I liked a lot of things about it. And so I recommended it to other people that they were supposed to be going actually this week. And the hotel is closed because there is a virus. And so the hotel is closed for the month of May. And I fought with them for a really long time. We booked a non-refundable rate, and they didn't want to give my clients their money back. They said, we'll give you a credit. I said, but you're closed. They can't come. And we did ultimately get the money back, but it was a big fight. And there are plenty of other hotels in Lisbon, so we won't be using that one again.
Right. However, with your experience, that's how you managed to do it. I'm sure if the individual didn't go through you, they went through themselves, they wouldn't have the experience to get the money back.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's another reason that I think is a good idea to use someone like you. So if you were to, you've been in this career for 15 years, you enjoy it, you love it, you travel all over the world. If you were to give someone a nugget of advice to get into the travel agencies, because you see a lot of people that say, I've got this travel ID, use this and you'll get this, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you advise for someone who wants to get involved in being in the travel industry?
So there's a long-standing joke, probably in many industries, but especially in the winemaking industry. I'm coming back to your question, by the way, but so
that's okay.
Winemakers, when people, I happen to know several, and when people get into the winemaking industry, the joke is, what's the fastest way to make $1 million in the wine industry? It's to start with 2 million.
Okay.
So travel's not that different, right? You're not getting in it for the money. No one's
Right.
becoming rich off of being a travel advisor. But what you have to really, really love it. You have to enjoy working with people, and you have to enjoy working with people to get them what they need. So I have clients ask me all the time, well, what would you do if this was your trip? And I say, well, it's not my trip, right? I don't like snorkeling, so I'm not doing a snorkeling trip. So for
Right.
you like snorkeling, I think you should do X, Y, and Z trip.
Right, right.
You know,
Exactly,
and
yeah.
you really, really have to like it. You also have to really enjoy travel, because you have to go places and you have to see
Right.
things, and you have to experience it for yourself, because if you don't, then it's impossible to sell it.
Right, exactly. You can't just sell from a brochure,
Mm-mm.
you know, because they're all pretty pictures. And when you get
Right.
there, it's not the same.
Exactly.
Believe me, I've had that experience.
Mhm.
And also, you can give them their expectation, because I know that when you travel to Europe, Europe is a very old place.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of old, beautiful buildings that people love to go for the history. What they don't realize is that the hotels, the local hotels, are also old,
Mhm.
and the rooms are smaller and things like
And they
that.
might not have an elevator, or they might not have air
Exactly.
conditioning, or
And you can advise them of this,
Mhm.
because I know when we went to Paris, I'd been to Paris many times, but my husband had never been. And when we went there, we stayed in Montmartre, because
Mhm.
he is an artist and he wanted to be in the artist, and I knew Montmartre was the best place to
Mhm.
be. Plus I wanted to go to the Sacre-Cœur, which is my favorite church, and that's in Montmartre also.
Mhm.
However, my husband, I forgot to tell him that, you know, it's an old
Mhm.
area with small, and in the elevator we had to stand sideways, and there was only two people could get in the elevator. It was one of those
One
where
of you
you,
with the suitcase.
yes,
Mhm.
and you have to do the doors, two doors, and
Mhm.
all this sort of thing, you know. And they didn't know how to make a martini, which was also a big thing for him. But so therefore, from his perspective, it wasn't as enjoyable as it could have been, because he was expecting the hotels that you see in America, you know, your
Right.
Marriotts and
Right.
you know, your Hiltons and all that sort of thing, which they do have in Europe,
Yes.
obviously. But if you want to go local, that's not what you're going to get. And
Right.
someone like you can advise people ahead of time their expectation, right? Okay, don't
Exactly.
expect this. Yes.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
we can narrow it down. It's all about what's important, right? Is it
Right.
important to have a large room in your hotel? Is it important to have amenities like room service and concierge? Is it important to be in a great location? Spoiler alert, it's always important to be in a great location.
Always,
Always.
always.
For
Yes.
whatever your purposes are. That's
Right.
to me, that's the
Yes.
most important thing. And then everything
Yes.
else, right? You can find a luxury 5-star property, you could find a nice 4-star property, or whatever it is that's going to suit your needs, or an apartment. We do
Mm.
some apartments in various places, but they're through very specific companies.
So how do you manage your lifestyle traveling all the time?
I work a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I do have an employee. I have a full-time assistant, so she runs a lot of things when I'm not here.
Mm-hmm.
And I do work when I'm away, from as little as possible, but I do. I mean, that's just the nature of owning your business, is when you're somewhere else and someone needs you, then you deal with it.
Right. Good. So what motivates you to get up in the morning?
Okay, so today I'm not going to say the coronavirus, because it's a nightmare. We've had,
Right.
I mean, months of cancellations and changes, and reading insurance policies with my clients, and
Mm-hmm.
covered and not covered. But you know what really gets me excited
Go
is,
on.
so the first time that my phone rang at 10 o'clock at night, and it was a client on vacation, and I looked at it and I was like, oh God, I don't want to answer this, because clearly it can't be good. It's 10 o'clock at night. Well, she was 3 hours earlier, so it was only 7 o'clock. It didn't occur to her that it was 10 o'clock where I was. And she was calling to tell me what a great time she was having, and how she was
Nice.
eating so well that she couldn't button her pants, which I thought was a little too much information.
Yeah,
But
that's
still,
TMI.
yeah,
And I think, and right now, I think we're all in that situation where we're
yeah,
staying at home, healthy and safe, but we're getting healthier by the minutes, you know.
exactly. But what clients send me pictures from their trips all the time, and it's
Nice.
wonderful. It's wonderful. I
Right.
had clients send me entire photo albums of their trip. It's great. I love to see
Wow.
it.
Well, I've always loved what you've done for us over the
Thank
years, and every trip that we've been on, we've never had an issue with at all. And even though you do all the work, it was still great.
you.
So how do people get in touch with you if they want to speak
It's
to you?
very easy. I'm very, very findable. My website is livewelltraveloften.com. If you Google Stephanie Goldberg Glazer, there's only one of me. My phone number is 855-940-1119. I'm extension 1. And you can email me, Stephanie@livewelltraveloften.com.
It's a great name, Live Well, Travel Often. I love that. We're going to put your details in the link below, so people can just click the link and see your website and send an email off to you if they want to. If they want something special. I know you do custom packages and all that sort of thing. It's been great talking to you. Your energy is really good. You're definitely love traveling, which is great. And I love your little background that you have here. And I know that in sunny Florida here, we sort of have a vacation most of the time, a staycation, but it is nice to get away from your own local area and get out and about. So
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being here. Another afternoon tea with Helen, with my cup of tea here, you know, which is, I better not drink it while I'm talking, but my cup of tea, spill it everywhere, you know. So that was another episode, everyone. If you would like to subscribe to the channel so that you can get more afternoon teas, and also some comments would be great as well. See how we're doing, some comments and feedback. Contact Stephanie if you would like some travel information wherever you are in the world. And obviously, if you want to have an interview on the show, then there's the link underneath that you can do that also. So once again, thank you, and look out for our next episode of Afternoon Tea with Helen.